Every now and then miracles do happen. Herpa making a private jet. Okay, it's one of the larger ones, but thanks to the great prices of the F&B shop we can take a closer look at it and see what it's all about. And with that, hello and welcome to a new episode of Review, where today we'll take a closer look at a Boeing 747-8 BBJ of Qatar Amiri Flight. At the front of the box we have a cutout so we can get a glimpse of the aircraft model inside, and next to that we have the Qatar Amiri branding. The back side of the box offers us yet another cutout. I have many times talked about my disdain for this box design, so instead of continuing with that, let's focus on the fact that this is a limited edition. And here she is, the Boeing 747-8 BBJ of Qatar Amiri Flight, which is the VIP division of, well, the state of Qatar, or Qatar Airways. It's basically the same, and is operating exclusively for the royal family and VIP governmental officials. BBJ, of course, stands for Boeing Business Jet, so this is not a typical PAX carrying aircraft, but has a, VIP cabin. But enough about the aircraft in real life for now. Let's focus on the aircraft model itself to see what Herpa has done with it and if it is worth our money and time. And the best way to do so is by taking a closer look at it, starting off with the tail section, where we on the vertical stabilizer have this stripy design, I guess, let's call it like that. On the horizontal stabilizer we then also find a little bit of detailing, and then on the fuselage we have the full registration code of the aircraft. Towards the very tail of the aircraft we then also find a bit of detailing around the APU exhaust. Now, for my next point, I'd like to show you an image of the real aircraft provided by Joe Aviation. Thanks very much for that. And here we see that the aircraft comes with 3 set domes. Now, the aircraft model from Herpa Wings only has 1. And I mean, the fact is that if, let's say, the 2 set domes in the back would have been smaller than the one we have in the middle section of the aircraft, then I kind of would have said, okay, that makes sense maybe to leave them out, but that's not the case. In fact, one of the set domes in the back of the aircraft is actually larger than the set dome we have here in the middle section of the aircraft. But I guess given that the set dome in the middle section actually has like this beige coloring, it kind of stands out a little bit more. It makes sense that if they actually added any set domes that they would add this one. Still, I think it's a little bit of a missed opportunity that Herpa didn't add all 3 set domes but only 1. But let's continue to the front of the aircraft, where we can follow these dark gray and dark reddish sheet lines, or wave lines, whatever you want to call it. Now, we don't find a huge amount of details around the front of the aircraft. We do have something that could indicate like static ports. We also have a tiny little bit of writing next to the front cabin door. However, that is in Arabic, which I don't speak, so I am not quite sure what it says. It probably says something like Qatar Amiri Flight, but if you know, let me know in the comment section below. So let's move on to the cockpit section itself, because here we find a little bit more detailing, with the emergency hatch for the cockpit printed on top. We of course also find the cockpit windows with the window wipers, so that's quite nice. But again, here just 1 or 2 petro tubes would really have elevated the aircraft model. But let's move on to the engines. The nacelles have been kept in this dark grayish color, as we also find on the belly of the aircraft, and have the silver leading edge printed on, where we don't really find any other kind of markings. Now, markings, I guess, is alright, because the real aircraft doesn't seem to have much of that, but maybe a few hatches or something like that. Normally engines do have that. I think that could again have elevated the aircraft model itself. But the physical detailing, at least with the chevron nozzles, and also here from the front with the engine fan blades, looks really rather nice. From the engines we can move on to the wings, which we should definitely also take a closer look at, starting off with the top side, where we have the different flap slats and spoilers carved out quite nicely. We also have the markings as to where to walk on the wings. The underside of the wings offers us more nice physical detailing. Here I really love the grey colored pylons, and of course we also find the full registration code of the aircraft once again. The landing gear on the 747-8 is made entirely out of plastic. This is interesting because the 747-400 from Herpa Wings is made entirely out of metal. Now, this is the standard landing gear and follows the same procedures as every year, basically.
The same procedure as last year, Miss Sophie?
The same procedure as every year, James.
So no big surprises here. I mean, overall, I think it looks quite alright. The only thing I am, as always, missing are some printed details around the front landing gear. On the belly of the aircraft we find a hole in the fuselage for a stand which is not included with this aircraft model. It doesn't destroy any printed details, which is why I'm not quite as bothered with it, but I will never be a fan of this. And then last but not least, we do also have the doors to the cargo compartments printed on here at the back of the aircraft and here at the front of the aircraft. So there we have it, the Boeing 747-8 BBJ of Qatar Amiri Flight in scale 1:500 from Herpa Wings. And what can we say about this aircraft model? Now overall it's not a bad aircraft model, but as always it just feels like Herpa is holding back. Just a few small details here and there would really have pushed the aircraft to a whole different level. But there are some interesting design choices from Herpa Wings here. I mean, the fact that we only have one set dome where the real aircraft has, well, at least three. We can find arguments why they only realized the one of the three, but I think it's the wrong choice, to be honest. However, it's for me not the major issue with the aircraft model. The major issue I have with the aircraft model is actually, well, the colors they have used. In my opinion, they have used the right colors, but in the wrong places. What do I mean by that? You know, we have this stripy design on the vertical stabilizer, which on the Herpa model uses a light gray, and then we have the dark gray belly of the aircraft. And on the real aircraft, when I look at images, for me, it's the other way around. And if we want to be really nitpicky, I would actually also say that the beige tone of the set dome is not entirely correct either. Now on this particular aircraft, given that it is a business jet, I actually don't care. Delivery still looks great. But for me it's just one more example of Herpa having real issues with color tones at the moment, and that's concerning. Still, it's finally a business jet from Herpa Wings, and I think it is definitely worth having in one's collection. Now, had they put this or a similar livery on an A319 or 20, I would have been over the moon. This time we got a 747, perhaps in the future we might be lucky and get a single aisle. And on that note, it is time to end today's episode. If you have enjoyed this video, then don't forget to leave a like, and if you are new around here, why not hit subscribe. With that, thanks so much for watching, hope to see you soon again. I'm checking out, and bye.